Episode 137, Encounter with Old Friends. When Violet responded, her anger seemed to be ebbing. "It's okay, superstar, I get that you're really busy." Violet calling her a superstar was getting annoying. Jade couldn't help but ask, "Why are you making fun of me? I'm not a star." "Jade, you're so modest. I love that about you. Do you remember what I told you last time? When you're famous, you should hire me as your assistant." "Well, you're famous now," Violet said excitedly. "I'm here to serve, and to take selfies with you, and maybe pick up some roles you don't have time for." Her voice was full of laughter. "Violet, what are you talking about?" There was a long pause. "Jade, do you really not know? Are you pretending?" Jade was starting to be exacerbated. "Know what?" "Oh my God," said Violet. "You're famous, and you have no idea." Jade's day was just getting stranger and stranger. "Why am I famous?" "So you haven't been online much recently?" "No, not at all." Jade shook her head and helplessly said, "How would I have the time? I go right from shooting and pass out because I'm so tired. I barely even touch my phone." "No wonder. Okay, you need to do some research on yourself." Violet laughed out loud. "Just spend half an hour with your phone. You're trending on Twitter. Your ads are absolutely everywhere. Everyone I know is sharing them, and the ones that aren't are complaining that they're sick of them." Jade was stunned. "My shampoo ads? How are they such a big deal?" "People keep saying you're like the beauty of the century. Something about having a mathematically perfect face. It's wild, huh?" The more Violet spoke, the more excited she became. She'd always thought Jade was beautiful, that she'd definitely become famous someday. Maybe not quite this fast, though. Jade felt like she was made of stone, like she would be frozen forever with her mouth hanging open and her brow furrowed. This was an unexpected development, to say the least. "Oh, wow," was all she said. "Seriously," said Violet. "Check your socials, maybe turn on the TV." Jade said doubtfully, "All right then, I'll take a look when I have time." She thought back to the girls she heard talking inside the hospital. It seemed they really were talking about her, not some other person named Jade. Clearly, she'd been too cut off from the world recently. After talking to Nurse Mason, Jade still planned to go back, but she didn't want to trouble Dario. She decided to go by herself, then tell him where she was once she arrived. However, just as she was about to walk to the bus station, she saw a familiar Land Rover. The window was open. She could clearly see the person behind the wheel. Jade's heart, already a bit sore, flooded with anger. The person was Bruce. She'd just been talking about him with his new wife, Ivana. This was entirely too much Bruce for one day, or for one lifetime. The door of the Land Rover opened. Bruce got out and walked toward her. Jade immediately turned around to leave. She wanted to run back to the hospital, where at least it was safe. But her high heels slowed her down, and Bruce caught up with her. His face was full of hostility. He stared at her fiercely. When she took a step back, he grabbed her arm. His face too close to hers, he said with an icy expression, "Jade, why did you leave when you saw me? Are you scared of me?" A sharp pain shot through her arm. She clenched her teeth and endured it. She tried to step on his foot, but he knocked her shoe aside. "Stay away from me," Jade snapped. Bruce narrowed his eyes. "You're getting pretty cocky these days. Let me tell you, you don't want to piss me off." Jade looked at him indifferently. "Or what?" "Or you'll be in major trouble." She raised her eyebrows and smiled faintly. "Is that so? Who exactly is in trouble? You just came out of jail and it seems like you're dying to go back." Bruce's expression tightened with sullen fury. "You bitch! Do you have a death wish?" Jade looked at him coldly. "The only person who should die is you." Her eyes were full of disdain and disgust. "Stay away from me. I never want to see you again." She tried to jerk her arm out of his grasp. "Take your dirty hands off me. You don't have the right to touch me." Bruce's anger was pierced with a spear of sadness. Jade's expression hurt him. She was like a stranger to him. In the past, she would only circle around him. Her eyes and voice and words were always gentle. He thought she was gentle and meek all the way through. He would never have imagined her speaking to him like this. Now every word she said dripped with disdain. Her eyes were full of hatred. She did not want him to touch her. This had to be because of that man. He had snatched away the love that belonged to Bruce. "Jade, watch your mouth. You got lucky last time," Bruce said as he increased the strength in his hands. "You don't want to know what's going to happen when I have you to myself again." Jade looked around frantically, her anger drowning in fear. Just as she was about to call for help, a familiar deep voice came from behind her. "I'd like to have you to myself, Bruce Stevens." The voice filled Jade with joy and relief. She turned her head anxiously. Her gaze softened a little when it landed on him. "Mr. Foster, you came!" She wanted to run up to him, but Bruce refused to let go of her arm. Jade frowned and turned back to Bruce. Her tone was steely with fury. "Let go of me. My husband is here now." When she said the word husband, the two men's eyes suddenly changed. Bruce's eyes were full of jealousy and anger, and Daria's eyes were full of rare joy and depth. When Bruce saw the huge difference in her attitude toward him and Dario, his heart clenched with a strange feeling. Was it rage? Was it grief?